if I'm right, of the systems challenge. I think I lost count of the days that we are doing this challenge for. But welcome to day 12 and today's topic. So, I initially had something else planned in mind for this topic, but trust me, when I actually put together the slides for this particular challenge, that's when I realized that I have something really, really interesting that I want to share with you guys. And I know that a lot of you are going to absolutely love this topic, which is where I talk about the exact flows that I put together for my clients once the cart opens. So, if you're a coach and you're not sure what cart opening means, it's basically where you launch your course and then you tell people now the link is ready, you can just go ahead and buy, right? Don't just keep doing that, right? Just don't keep telling people that something is ready to buy, without having to, without giving them the idea of what they need to do. But you need to actually tell your people what is in it for them so they exactly know the value that you're stacking for them. They know that more than the modules, like I mentioned in the previous video, you need to show them the actual transformation that you're giving these people, right? So that's exactly when people know that your course is even worth it. In fact, I'm putting together an SLO funnel for a client of mine right now where we are going through their $7 offer with a $22 bump to a $44 offer to a $97 membership to a $997 program. And one thing that we are not doing in any of these is just stacking the modules and telling people that these are the modules that are actually going to get you the sales. Instead, what we are doing is my amazing copywriter is putting together transformation based copy because that's exactly what is proven to start giving you more sales with your courses. And if you're just thinking about like putting together a copy that tells you, yeah, these are the modules, and then you're wondering why nothing is converting, well, that's one of the reasons why your course landing pages are not converting. If it's too clunky, if it's too clogged, if it's not giving people the value that they need to know, then that's one of the reasons why your sales pages is obviously not converting. So now that it's Q1, we all know that the course launch planning is in full swing, and people are, in fact, going back and forth. I'm getting a lot of inquiries for, to set up their funnels, or people are asking me if I can coach them on things, or, but either ways, the membership is being set up. But in all these ways, people are actually taking action. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. So if you're thinking, I can just wing my launch without a landing page, without the backend checkouts, and most importantly, without the automations, because I'm your automations girly. And if you think you can launch any of it with just pretty design and a copy from ChatGPT, that's why your courses won't launch. Trust me, your courses would flop, and all that you will end up doing is more frustration, spending more money, trying to buy all of those templates, and then you try working with the freelancers who don't know things what they're talking about. Talk to somebody who knows the strategy, because that's exactly what we do. So if you've been seeing all of my videos, you can see that we back everything with strategy, right? So this video, I actually read the title just for you guys to show you exactly the type of launch workflows that I have built for 35 plus clients of mine. So you can copy the exact same thing. You can copy the exact same system if you're not somebody who's ready to invest. And if you're like, I'm more of a DIY person, go ahead, do that. But these are the exact same steps that I've put together for every client of mine, obviously depending on the tier they chose to work with, together. But these are the exact same things I put together that helped coaches go from almost $0 or fail launches to consistent six-figure launches. And of course, you need to keep in mind that for you to have consistent six-figure launches and to get to a seven-figure year, right, annually, with multiple six-figure launches, you are going to need ads in place. So not a lot of these things can happen with organic systems, but what I put together for them is going to be rock solid until the whole marketing industry changes, right? If you know what I mean. So that's exactly how we do the things that I want to do. All right. So I want to start by telling you which most people think is the other way around, right? They think their launches failed because something, the people were not interested, or something was going on, or they thought that, their offer was wrong, they thought that they were talking to the wrong audiences, or their pricing was too much. All of these do play a part, okay? But one of the main things, and one of the main reasons why you don't get even a single sale with your launch, is primarily because your back end is literally non existent. When somebody comes into your business, right, when somebody purchases something from you, nothing happens in the back end, or there are too many things happening in the back end, and people are confused and they leave because they do not know how the customer journey is going to be. When you're trying to take somebody from a $7 launch to $1,000 launch, the fault is in your landing page. It's not in the reason why somebody is buying a $7 but not buying $1,000 program. But instead, think about this. Why will somebody who buys a $7, who probably has less money in their pocket at this point, wants to even hear about $1,000 offer? Are you positioning it right? How are you trying to show people the value that they get when they buy the $1,000 program? Or I see a lot of coaches, the second common mistake I see with a lot of coaches is that they pack too much information in the $7 program or in the $7 product from their main program. They bundle too much up. So when their audiences buy, they're like, this is amazing. I don't think I need anything more to buy from this. And they actually don't pay you the $1,000 program. But either ways, your backend actually should move them and show them what they get with the $7, what they get with a $17, what they get with a $44, what they get with a $97. So your copy has to be positioned in such a way, and your backend should actually magically do the stuff and show people how they are progressing. And it should also show you how things are progressing in your backend, right? Obviously, because when I talk about backends, the reason that you need to think about is when you're launching literally to to the globe. Lots of my client launches are either within the United States or US, UK, Australia, Canada. They just don't care where people buy from, right? It's unless yours is not a local business, you're obviously not going to care where people buy from you, right? You're just opening it up throughout the globe. You have people from Australia, you have people from Canada, you have people from India buying things from you, right? So, one of the things you need to remember is that you're not launching to one particular person. Your follow-ups can also not be like it's just doing with one person, okay? You're managing hundreds and thousands of leads. So there are literally hundreds of micro steps in your funnel, and especially in your back end, and those micro decisions should show you in your backend as to who signed up, who's in the waiting line to be receiving the next email. If this person signed up, what was their intent? Did they see the next page? Did they quit the next page? And these are the exact parameters that I set up for my clients inside of the Go High Level backends that actually gets them more sales and gets them from those fail launched process, right? And so I'm going to show you exactly all of this today because this is exactly what I set up for most of my clients. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Amsa and I am the creative head behind funnelgrowth.design. Go ahead, check that website out. And so I basically work with coaches and creators where I literally become your back end launch partner. So which means you and I, depending on the tier that you decide to work with, either you just want everything set up and then you have a team, you can go ahead and do that. That's totally fine. Check out tier one on my website. Or you need like a marketing partner who's going to work with you for 90 days, who sets everything up, who sets up your ads, and then who actually runs it for you. Then check out tier two if you're looking for somebody to start working with. But either ways, I make sure that you have the right strategy in place before deploying even a single thing in your website, right? On your funnels and whatnot. So I basically become your tech girly. And if that's something that you want, head to my website, click on that button to book a call with me. So, with that being said, getting straight into the point, one of the first things that I see with my clients is that they do not have a page view, or probably let's say somebody clicks, but they don't purchase. Okay, those become, let's say somebody visits your sales page, they start your checkout, they start the cart, but then they abandon it. All of these are treated as cart abandonment sequences. So that's exactly what I do. So when people abandon your cart, what is the thing that you're doing with your business right now? I want you to go back and check your actual backend. If you're not doing a thing in your setup, I want you to set up something called as the cart abandonment sequences. And if you're like, Sir, this is only set up for e-commerce businesses, that's not the case. You just have to position it in a different way, but the concept or the strategy obviously remains the same, right? So one of the cart abandonment sequences that I am setting up for a client of mine, as you see here, like I mentioned, you will see the whole case study, pretty soon once we complete the build out. But as you see here, we set up for each of the product, there is a purchase automation and then there is a cart abandonment automation. So when we go into the cart abandonment automation, that's exactly where we show people where they are. We add a tag as soon as they abandon the cart. So when they submit, right, the order form, and then we know that they have just submitted it, they have opted into this, we know exactly what's going on. That's when we start giving people some time, because people might be completing purchases on your website, and that's not when you just want to go and embarrass some yourself and say, hey, I didn't see you purchasing, when they're actually on your checkout page. So we make sure to give them some purchase intent hold, as I like to call it as. So we give them some time to, actually complete the purchase on your site. And then we add a tag. Okay. If somebody did not, complete the purchase, we obviously add a tag. And then we start sending them some emails, which are spaced apart. So we wait a few hours and then we send them, for the next 5 to 7 days, just to, until they complete all of these. So these are still being set up, as you see, but, I just have like the back, what do you call it? The backbone of it. Yeah, set up. But so if you see logically, we set up the purchase automation and the abandoned cart automation for most of these products. So for this client, we are doing it for the $7 product. We don't have something for the bump, because the logic here is that they get the bump only when they go into that particular sales page or that particular landing page, if that makes sense. Okay. So we set this up for the $7 automation. We set it up for their $47 membership, which will be for the first 20 spots. And then strategically, we are moving into 97 a month because she needs to be profitable. And then we are going into their, from 7 to 44, 44 to $47 a month, which is otherwise $97 a month. And then, we still have, I think I set up a bump abandonment here, but I'll just go back, and if I don't want it, I'll remove it. Two, they're $997 abandonment automation. So depending on what people do, right? And then we link all of these, we remove them from the abandonment workflow and move them to purchase automation. So none of the emails are being triggered, none of the emails are being repeated, so they don't have to embarrass themselves. So the goal here is basically, obviously, to set up your missed intent automation, because this is where, for a previous client of mine, we actually got about 12,000, I think $300, just from this particular sequence. If you think that your audiences are going to be mesmerized by your product and they will stay on your landing page forever, without them having to do any other job, then you need to put so much money on ads. Everything needs to be beautifully built out. But that's where a lot of people start wrong. They think that they need to invest all of the money that they have in ads and getting the best of the people. Obviously, you need the best of the people for your business, but you need to first understand where your audiences are. And if your messaging is resonating with them, if the way you speak to them is resonating with them, if your landing page design is resonating with those audiences, my branding, my designs are well received by my clients. So now I know what works for them, how the VSLs needs to be positioned. So my people buy from me when they go into my landing pages. Similarly, you need to know what works well for your audiences so they can actually receive it well. And for that, you need multiple rounds of testing. And if you're asking me if we build everything out perfectly, we do build things out perfectly, but there are always tweaks and changes that you need. And obviously, one of the things that you need to know is the abandonment sequences, to know how many people are actually exiting out of your landing page. If you're not using a tool like Hotjar and things like that, you need to have it, obviously. But Hotjar or Microsoft Clarity are my two go to tools to see where people are dropping off in the process. Okay. Number two, which is my absolute favorite, which is a no show after a live event. So, which means I've spoken about this extensively, which means people did not show up to your webinar, to your challenge, or whatnot. So I majorly set up two types of automations for this, which is one, which is the attended or the watched replay. So I'm not showing you a video of that right now because this has been spoken about extensively in the other days. So please go back and refer. But the core concept stays like this. If people do not show up to your live event and then you are leaving them by, without sending them an email at all or just telling them, hey, I think you missed the event, you're supposed to, go back and watch. People don't are not compelled to go and watch your event because they have a life to live and things happen, right? So, what you are supposed to do is actually create FOMO or fear of missing out around why somebody should actually go back and watch your event. What is the core reason that somebody needs to watch your event? What are they gaining by doing that? And what are they missing out by not watching your event? So, I set up pretty much, I also give them special bonuses for going back and actually watching the replay, which is also clearly stated in the email. But I usually give people a 72 hours limited replay time. So, which means if they don't watch the replay within the 72 hours, they're going to miss the bonus. They're going to miss the golden nugget. And, so 60% of my clients' audiences actually watch, and you need more people to from cold traffic to come back and watch the replay, obviously watch the event. And again, one of the second things that I do is if they did not purchase during the webinar but they watched the webinar to a certain percent, that's when I start what's called a sales sequence. So that's where we start. Now we don't talk about the webinar, but we talk about the actual program because they have watched and they have attended the webinar, seen a certain percentage of the webinar. So we start sending them to the sales sequences. Okay. So these two are where the money is, especially after you have a live event. That's what I set up, using the tags, using the automations, using the sequences. So you know exactly in your workflow pipeline inside Go High Level platform, especially if you use, which is my personal favorite. I'm a Go High Level consultant, so obviously I love that. So you get to see all of that inside of your pipeline. The third one that I see here is warm but hesitant buyers. These are people who have clicked on your profile multiple times. They've clicked on your website multiple times. They've watched a few different emails of yours. They've replied to, your emails. They have DM'd you multiple times. They've asked you questions, but they still need that one little nudge, to go ahead and do that. That's where we use something called as the video sales letter on your sales page. A video sales letter is going to basically put a face to who you are. If they've been following you for a long time, if you do a lot of videos, great. But if you're somebody who's typically new, that's one of the reasons why we put a sales letter in your emails. We send them testimonial emails with video testimonials, right? And if your account is well warmed up, it makes sure we make sure that it lands in the inbox. If not, sometimes it goes to the spam, and that's not what we want, right? And then we send people the transformational type emails. So this is where people end up getting other people testimonials. They see how this has worked for you, it has worked for someone else, now it should also work for them. And that's where you reiterate by saying it has worked for you, it has worked for someone else, and the reason why it wouldn't work for them is because they do not take action, they do not follow the steps, they do not do da 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 da. So those are the types of emails. Oftentimes people in this category are easy to convert with the right set of strategic emails like the ones I just mentioned. Now, the next one, which is my absolute favorite, is the 7-day postcard close nurture. I know you're here just for this, but this is one of the things you are going to absolutely love, which is the exact strategy that I follow, right? So just steal the strategy for your postcard close nurture. If they did not buy, the first thing I do is tell them, hey, you missed, um, you know, first of all, we start obviously by giving them a few reasons. This is in no particular order, all right? We start by giving them a few reasons as to why this program is the right fit for them. Then we compare it with those who have had their before and after transformations. Then we future pace it to show them how their life can look like from 6 months or 1 year, depending on however long your program is, and show them what the transformation would look like for somebody like them. We also compare it with similar people who have had those kind of transformation, so they know exactly what is going on. Okay, then we show them the list of people who have been waitlisted, for them. So we can tell them these are the people who have been waitlisted. These are the people who have shared their pain points during the waitlist. And I see that you're amongst all of those. So we give them a screenshot and tell them this is the exact kind of pain points that we have been seeing all about. So you also fit there. And then we talk to them about it. We obviously show them the behind the scenes results, how client A went from this to what did she do to where she is right now. Okay, and obviously we give them some bonuses and some early offers if they sign up today. So maybe you have an event, so we tell them get 20% discount on your upcoming event, right? It could be on a yacht. I had a client who did a 2-day event on a yacht, and we created the event funnel for about $5,000, and then the VIP was about $10,000, so it was a phenomenal one. So we gave them a 20% discount on the 5% on the $5,000 ticket. So that's also something that we did that you could do. All right, then let's say the cart is closed. Okay, we are going to then give them two reminders and tell them, hey, the cart closes tonight. Here is everything that you get. If you miss it now, we are not opening the cart for the next 6 months, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And then you send them another one just before the cart closes, like hour or two before the cart closes. So these are pretty much the things that we do for postcard close nurture sequence, right? Let's say if somebody does not buy, okay, or a portion of those people, or let's say certain percentage of the people do not buy from that card close sequence or post card nurture sequence, what we do is we just don't abandon them, but you're supposed to send them to another downsell email. So let's say your program is about $997. You can send them to a $297 program or a $47 or a $97 downsell offer that is already in your funnel that they have not taken action on, right? If yours is a $5,000 program, send them to a self-paced program like a 997. Now tell them, show them the clear difference between the 5,000 and this one. What are they getting? What are they missing out on? Because sometimes people just don't have the time to do your $5,000 program. Sometimes all people need is just the self-paced version of it, right? Also, another thing that you could do is invite them to the next webinar. If you're not having a webinar, be it live or automated, for your high ticket program, you and I need to talk. Obviously, go ahead and book a call. But if not, invite these people to your next webinar. Because these two, where we downsell them to another product or a self paced program and inviting them to the next webinar with customized tags, is something that I do pretty much for all of my clients. So, lot of people treat launches as events, right? They just think, oh, this launch is over, the next live launch is going to drain me out. And that happens because you're doing everything manually. Like with the client that I worked, right? I would say a year or so back when 2025 began, that's when we started with that client. It was a 6 month retainer where we worked together. One of the things that I saw was her consistently telling me that she had the energy to do a live launch. And that's when I was asking her what are the things that she did, which actually led to us working together. When she told me that launches are exhausting, and I asked her what are the exact steps she did, she told me everything that could have been automated. And that is something I do for most of my clients, right? Like reaching out to people, like tagging, telling them with specific emails as to when your launches are beginning, and sending all of these emails that I just showed you, all of these things, and then following up with people in the DMs, and then showing them what's coming up, showing them what's everything that I'm talking about that I just spoke to you about right now. She was doing it manually, and she was telling me I need to take a lot of vitamins, to get through this particular launch. And that's when I was in shock, and I told her, do you even know that there's something called as backend automations that exists? Then we moved her from the existing platform she was on into go high level, and then I set up systems that repeats. And right now, as a mom, I think she's a mom of three, she actually makes about 25,000 each month consistently. That's just it. She was wishing for a $15,000 launch every single month, and we help her make about 25,000 without ads because she does not believe in ads. That's fine, but with organic systems she makes about 25,000 per launch, and she's super happy with where she is, right? So one thing I want you to remember is all of these can be fixed with the simplest of the systems, or just like what you saw right now. All you need is a purchase sequence, an automation sequence, the right tags in place, and your front end and back end needs to be solid, because it's not just for your peace of mind, but it's mostly for your clients. So once again, if you're looking at if you're not sure what needs to be done, if you need to know how your launches can be made where you can breathe easy during your launch, where it can be a breeze for you to launch and set up things for your business, go ahead to my website, followgrowth.design, and then book a call. Let's make your launches become a dream come true. All right. If you have your launches in Q2. But please, please, please don't come just a week before your launch and expect me to set up systems, because that's practically impossible to have a system that works within a week. So I would recommend at least 30 to at least 45 to 60 days out for you to start getting your systems in place for everything to start working together.